Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Honorable Dr. Ashni Singh, says Guyana has remarkable potential in the call center industry. Minister Singh shared this sentiment during a visit to the COLLIN call center at Providence on Tuesday. The visit is in keeping with government's vision of diversifying the economy.
President Irfan Ali and his entire government have been at pains to emphasize how important we consider the objective of diversifying the Guyanese economy and ensuring that we have a well-diversified and dynamic economic base. So for this reason, you would have heard us repeatedly say that not only do we see growth in the Guyanese economy being driven by oil and gas going forward, but we've also been placing an extremely high level of emphasis on the non-oil economy.
The finance minister highlighted one of these non-oil sectors as that of the business process outsourcing BPO sector, under which the COLLIN call center falls. Minister Singh plans on visiting other BPO companies as the government works to strengthen the sector. Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, has taken the COVID-19 vaccine. On Tuesday morning, Minister Anthony was vaccinated with the Russian Sputnik V vaccine purchased by the government, which arrived in the country Friday last. Asked why he took so long to get vaccinated, Minister Anthony said his first priority was frontline healthcare workers.
I was waiting until most of our frontline workers got their vaccine. We are in that position now where we have enough doses of vaccines that are available, and we have a number of other doses that are in the pipeline to come into Guyana. So I think it's the right moment. People feel that I'm hesitant to take the vaccine. So I want to dispel that myth to make sure that people can see that I've taken the vaccine. And now, if that was preventing them from getting theirs, that they can come on board and get theirs.
Minister Anthony says he has received a lot of requests to take the vaccine. He says he hopes by taking the jab, others will be influenced to do the same. Minister of Labour, Honorable Joseph Hamilton, has urged residents of Kokwani and surrounding communities to branch out into other sectors in order to develop the community and improve their livelihood. Minister Hamilton was at the time addressing a small gathering at the Kokwani Primary School during a recent outreach to several villages in Region 10. The minister says Region 10 can no longer be regarded as a bauxite area, and therefore the people must now refocus on the other sectors, including agriculture, forestry, mining, and tourism.
We have to expunge this thought that without a bauxite company, you will not survive. That is the point. You know, Roosevelt has been gone, what, a year now? Yeah. Right, y'all are still here. Have you not lived? The point that I'm showing you, the fact that you're here, you survive after that. I am saying now it is for utilizing other methodologies, other skills to take you to a different place.
Minister Hamilton also informed the residents that discussions are being held between local and international partners about taking over the company in the future. The minister presented to the residents a range of opportunities for skills training through the Board of Industrial Training for youths, women, and retirees. Consumers are being assured that there is no shortage of beef locally and that the government is working to ensure there is adequate supply. This was announced by Minister of Agriculture Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa on Wednesday while engaging stakeholders within the beef industry at the ministry's head office.
We can safely conclude that there is not a shortage of beef in the country, but there are some problem with supply, right? And we can resolve that supply problem.
It was highlighted that due to bad weather and the impact of COVID-19, there has been some delays in transporting the meat from the wholesalers to the markets. This has led to some concerns in recent weeks. Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, is again urging citizens to take additional precaution, especially in public. There has been an increase in hospitalization of COVID-19 patients over the last month. Minister Anthony made a revelation during Wednesday's COVID-19 update.
In Guyana, over the last month or so, we've started seeing an uptick of more cases. And well, it's not in every region. We have seen those cases happening more in Region 4, in Region 3, and in Region 7. And out of seeing more cases, we have started seeing more hospitalization.
The construction of government's low-income houses and infrastructural works have started in Cummings Lodge, East Coast, Demerara. Minister of Housing and Water, Honorable COLLIN CROAL, visited the area on Wednesday to get a first-hand look at how the works are progressing. Minister CROAL explained that the 190 homes being constructed are 20 by 30 single elevated units. The foundations for the houses are currently being laid and construction will be completed within 4 months.
Only a few weeks ago, you would have seen we've signed to about $1.5 billion works, infrastructure works for these two areas. It will take you all the way to Abribaka Road. And so it's massive development. In the first phase, we are constructing about 190 elevated houses. Behind me, you can see the commencement. Because of that contract signing too, we also signed the contract for the contractors to commence those houses.
The infrastructural works, which include the construction of roads, bridges and drainage, will stretch right onto Aubrey Barker Road, South Rheinfeldt. Because of the distance, Minister CROAL said they will need to set up a police outpost and an area has been identified. Last month, 51 contracts were signed for the construction of 290 homes. The other 100 dwellings will be flat, 2-bedroom homes and will be constructed at Prospect, East Bank, Demerara. The homes are part of the 1,000 young professionals and low-income housing units the ministry plans to construct this year as part of the Central Housing and Planning Authority's National Housing Development Program. The government has begun preliminary works to establish a new road corridor between Bartica and Timeri in keeping with a campaign promise. At Wednesday's inspection of the route, Minister of Public Works, Honorable Bishop Juan EDGHILL, said the project is well conceived.
The possibility of a road from Bartica to Timeri is no longer an idea, it is something that is doable.
Minister EDGHILL is adamant that the project will improve commute between the coast and hinterland by significantly reducing travel time, since commuters will no longer have to travel to Parika, then journey to Bartica. Likewise, citizens will no longer have to travel to Linden, then on to Rockstone through the Shirima crossing for a barge to then make their way to Bartica. Both routes are known to be lengthy.
We will now go to the drawing board with the coordinates. We will look at all of the practicalities, and of course the shortest possible route is what we will be examining. We will probably have to get a geologist to do some soil testing to ensure we have materials in the closest proximity for the building of that road.
The minister added that works will begin soon after the designs are completed.
I would suspect within another 5-6 weeks after this trip, my engineers would have been able to do some designing, and the monies that are appropriated in 2021 can start cutting an alignment.
The minister also said a process will begin to decide on the best option to facilitate barge crossings, where the road terminates at both the Timeri and Bartica sections. Minister of Education Honorable Priya Manikchan is satisfied with the works done at the newly constructed Westminster Secondary School. This follows a walkthrough on Thursday of the building located at Parfait Harmony, West Bank, Demerara. The school is expected to be officially handed over to the ministry this week. The school is equipped with 32 classrooms, science and IT laboratories, a dance studio and a music room. It is also easily accessible for persons with disabilities.
It is probably going to be one of our most resourced schools, given the labs and so on that we've seen. And we want to make sure the children of Region 3 can benefit from it.
The $1 billion secondary school falls under the Guyana Secondary Education Improvement Project. The program aims to improve the quality of secondary education across the country and is part of the government's efforts to achieve universal secondary education. Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Honorable Onij Walron, is calling on citizens to use plastic responsibly to mitigate environmental damage caused by plastic pollution.
It is no secret that many of our citizens habitually pollute the environment, including our waterways, by irresponsibly dumping items. The most popular response to this issue is that there should be greater enforcement and stiffer penalties However, I believe that the solution to pollution is to create a paradigm shift in our attitude towards an appreciation for environmental preservation.
Minister Walron was delivering the feature address at a prize-giving ceremony held by the Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission at the Sophia Exhibition Complex on Thursday. Children received awards for their entries in essay and video competitions, commemorating World Consumer Rights Day on March 15. This year's theme was Tackling Plastic Pollution. The second phase of the government's $25,000 COVID-19 relief cash grant has begun. Much like the first phase, residents of the hinterland regions are the first batch of beneficiaries. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Honorable Nigel Darmalal says once this process is completed in the outlying regions, the government will set its sight on distributing the grants to citizens residing in the coastal areas. To this end, about $1 billion will be expended for the second phase of this initiative to ensure that every household benefits, as envisioned by President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, to cushion the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Aside from this measure, the government also distributed $1.73 billion as its one-off COVID-19 relief fund aimed to boost economic and social development within Amerindian communities. The Fisheries Department's new monitoring vessel being docked at the Coast Guard Headquarters, Ramp Road, Rimeveld, will be up and running within 3 months. Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa, made the announcement following an inspection of the vessel on Friday. The vessel, which costs some $99 million, when fully equipped will cost the government $150 million. It will be used to patrol the exclusive economic zone and intensify surveillance of Guyana's fishing fleet.
Hopefully we can get those equipment purchased as early as possible, and also to recruit staff. We have encountered some difficulties in recruiting the staff because the advertisement that went out, we hadn't many responses. So I've asked the Coast Guard to help us if they could point us to some of those former Coast Guards who would have worked before, and we can recruit them to help us to man this vessel.
Minister Mustafa says the government will also acquire more marine vessels since its waterways will see more international operations as a result of the oil and gas sector. The minister also inspected 2 newly installed water pumps at South Rimeveld and Sussex Street to assess their effectiveness.
One of these hydrophobe pumps is costing us $500,000 US. We have 3 additional of those pumps in the city that will boost drainage in the city, and we'll have a 24-hour drainage facility. One of these pumps is capable of draining 35,520 gallons of water per minute.
On Friday, Minister of Education Honorable Priya Manikchand commissioned the country's 6th and 7th smart classrooms. This is yet another testimony of the PPPC government fulfilling its manifesto promise to improve the quality and delivery of education across the country. The first smart classroom in Region 6 at a public school was officially commissioned Friday morning at the New Amsterdam Secondary School, while another was commissioned at Skeldon Linepath Secondary School later in the day. Minister Manikchand says the ministry is committed to ensuring quality education is delivered to students, especially during the pandemic.
Even as we do the smart classrooms across the country and we improve the facilities to have people access online teaching, we know we have to, if we are to change and improve how we educate our young people, we have to make sure we pay rapt attention to training teachers.
She assured that a program is being built out to ensure that facilities like these are utilized effectively to the benefit of students all across the country.
As we also know, the experience is that we put a fancy thing in the school, we launch it, we cut a ribbon, there's a nice headline, we move on, and then we don't look back to see, I say we very loosely, to see how it's implemented. We are building out a program in the ministry to make sure the smart classrooms are not only in the schools, but that they're being used effectively in those schools for the benefit of the children in those schools, as well as for the benefit of the wider community.
Minister Manikchand noted that the facility should be utilized by all teachers and encouraged them to familiarize themselves with the classroom to use to the advantage and benefit of students. The Education Minister also commissioned 5 computer learning centers at primary schools along the Corentyne coast. These were established at number 36, number 59, Messiah, number 63, and Newmarket Primary Schools. This was made possible through a donation by the Sri Devi Mandir Global Humanitarian Foundation. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.